Let's move on now to Uganda, where a Ugandan court has issued an arrest warrant for award-winning author Kakwenza Rukira-bashaija, Rukira-bashaija, who fled the country after being charged with insulting President Yoweri Museveni and his son. Recall that Kakwenza was arrested shortly after Christmas and charged with offensive communication in his book, The Greedy Barbarian, which describes high-level corruption in a fictional country.
The 33-year-old writer had narrated how he was tortured during his month-long detention and later slipped out of the country last month to seek treatment abroad. But just yesterday, prosecutors asked the Kampala court to issue a warrant of arrest against the satirical novelist after he failed to show up for the trial. But it was not clear if the warrant would include an extradition request to Germany, where Kakwenza was said to be exiled.
Quite a sad one. But joining us this morning, we were expected to have Kakwenza, who should join us from his place of exile. We're talking about Germany, but it seems that we are having connectivity issues. Hopefully, he will be able to make it. We're still counting on on him to join us in a bit. But in the meantime, we do have from our desk, our research desk, we do have Babatunde Oguntimehin, who joins us to look at this very, very, very big story here. Babatunde, you have been following this story from the get-go, as we know, and you never stop at anything than telling us the updates, even at the newsroom, letting us know that this is what's going on. And here we see a case that we thought was indeed over. But guess what? Just yesterday, like you know, and like I know, like we have also let our viewers know that a court has indeed called for his extradition and he should actually be brought back to Uganda. Let's ask this question first off, Babatunde. How can African journalists indeed gain freedom of expression, looking at what is playing out right about now again?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. In Africa, press freedom has been something that has always been on the front burner because in most countries there had been rulers who I believe have been in government who have been clamping down on most of these press rights, and not knowing that the First Amendment always protects the journalists to at least report issues the way they are, unbiased. This is a way to protect democracy, but some of the leaders in Africa have not been acceding to some of these rights to journalists. They've been clamping down on them, and we can see the case of Kakwenza. He escaped to exile after serious torture, after alleged torture. There were pictures of him being tortured all over the internet some few months ago before he went into exile. This is not just in Uganda, it is in almost most parts of Africa. Press freedom is nothing to write home about. There has been clampdowns. Most times they don't give them the freedom to report issues the way they are, and they are always hounded. There have been issues of forced disappearances, clamping down on some of these people and just torturing them in prisons, and it has been of very dire consequences.
All right, Rotimi, now looking at the situation, his four sureties have been summoned and told to appear in court on the 11th of April or pay 10 million shillings for the absence of Kakwenza at this moment. Now, the opposition party leader, Roberta Chagulanyi, a.k.a. Baba Wine, was a clear example of one being silenced and taken away from the eye of the media. Shouldn't this be a case needing much attention? It seems as if a lot of people are just walking by the story like irregular.
Yes, that is very true. There has been, like I said, it's been on the front burner. So many people have been talking about these things. But you see, most of these forceful clampdown on journalists, rights activists, and probably opponents of other parties have gone on for a very long time. Most times they are always as a result of the government in power trying to clamp down, trying to prevent some of these people from reporting issues, because bad governances and stuff are happening in all these places. So when journalists report some of these things, it is a way of the government trying to feel like, no, you shouldn't do this because you are talking about me in a negative way, and it's going to affect me on the international scene. So they always clamp down on these journalists. The International Press Council released a statement recently on the dire consequences of clamping down on journalists, especially in this part of Africa. There's no freedom of expression. There are reports of journalists still being trapped in prisons in Uganda, in Egypt. There are people trapped in Egypt for years, and so many other countries in Africa. This is just the reality on ground, and it's so sad that it is happening.
All right. Let's look at, the case of Kakwenza is one that caught the attention of the international community, talking about the European Union, the United States of America as well. But what does this say about the government of President Yoweri Museveni, who has ruled Uganda for a very long time?
Thank you very much. You just said that President Museveni, the 77-year-old president, has been in power for more than 6 years now. And in all those times, there have been reports of impunity. There has been so much impunity, especially for people in the opposition parties who have been disallowed to exhibit some of their rights. Some of them have just been missing mysteriously. Some of them have been thrown in prison. Some of them don't even have any record of being anywhere. There are some illegal detention centers where they have been kept, and so many of them are undergoing so many terrible things where they are. And aside that, they have been tortured. It's just a pity that, especially in Uganda, torture is a criminal issue, even according to their constitution. The Ugandan law states that for a court to, if a court penalizes someone for, all these kind of crimes, you can go for almost 15 years in jail. But that still has not stopped the police and the army in Uganda, especially from clamping down on some of these people. And we need to understand too that in the last few days, the Human Rights Watch, so the fact that whether torture is happening in Uganda or not is not even the issue. The president himself, in his statement last year, while he was making his independence statement, mentioned that really his forces have been detaining people. Even the Minister for Interior went to their Senate and presented a list of almost 177 people who are in different detention centers. So this has been going on. Even just recently, the Human Rights Watch issued almost a 62-page report indicting the government of not doing enough, of even trying to, supporting some of these atrocities going on under their watch. The Ugandan National Rights Commission too has been doing the same thing, but it's a pity that despite all this, none of those people who are involved in all these things have been brought to book.
Right. All right. I mean, this is a situation that he himself has gone on Twitter to comment on, talking about him donating his Ugandan passport to the magistrate court, and they're free to archive it or just keep it in the National Museum. But thank you so much for coming in, Babatunde Oguntimehin, from our research desk right here at News Central.
Thank you for having me.